Welcome to another weekly edition of the Best Way to Smoke News with Serpo Jr.
Big J.
and stepping right on in. Congress sent first weed bill to Biden. The Senate passed a bill designed to expand medical marijuana research on Wednesday by unanimous consent. Passage of the legislation, which is sponsored by Senator Deanne Feinstein, hope I'm not messing up the name, it's a Democrat in California, and Republican Earl Blumenauer, Democratic of, I believe that's Oregon. Again, excuse me on the name mispronounced. In their respective chambers signaled a new era in federal cannabis policy. It's the first standalone marijuana-related bill approved by both chambers of Congress. The House passed the bill in July, also by unanimous consent. The bill, which will make it easier for scientists to conduct medical marijuana research and protect doctors who discuss the benefits and drawbacks of using the drug with patients, now heads to President Joe Biden's desk. Now that's cool right there because like at first, like a lot of researchers and doctors or however you want to put it, like was probably scared to put out their research because it wasn't federally legal. So now with things passing, going up and up the ladder, you know, it's like medical research is now being funded.
Yeah, they can really take a look and dig into it and see the benefits of what cannabis can do to help people in certain situations. No, why did you run into the recruits? That's the question for the guy in Whittier that ran into all the recruits out there. The California Highway Patrol said the incident was reported at 6:25 a.m. Wednesday near the intersection of Miles Avenue and Telegraph Road. Upon impact, firefighters with LA County Fire Station 96 heard a loud crash and immediately rendered aid to the cadets and called for additional resources. Authorities said 20 law enforcement vehicles from various agencies responded to the scene. CHP Captain Charles Sampson said that the driver was going southbound on Miles Avenue when he veered into the opposing lane and struck the victims who were running northbound in formation. The cadets were rushed, including two who were airlifted to various hospitals across LA and Orange counties, including UCI Medical Center in the city of Orange, St. Francis Medical Center in Linwood, LAC and USC Medical Centers in Boyle Heights, Harbor UCLA Medical Center in Torrance, and PIH Health Whittier Hospital. The members of Academy Class 464 attended the Sheriff's Training Academy and Regional Services STARS Center located in the 150th block of Calamai Road, which is roughly a mile and a half from the crash site. That shit was crazy though, just like seeing how he went into him. And while we talking about this, because they were saying up on investigation he passed the breathalyzer, but they said he had weed in the car and shit like that though. So they trying to throw the weed in there.
They can go on with that.
Moving on.
Mike Tyson and Ric Flair tag team the cannabis space and weight. Is that Evander Holyfield? You got some heavyweights up in here.
Man.
In the years since the sun set on his legendary boxing career, Mike Tyson has been many things. You might have seen him play a fictionalized version of himself in The Hangover. You might have downloaded his podcast, Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, and heard him hold court with celebrities from Snoop Dogg to William Shatner. And even if you're not a cannabis consumer, you almost definitely heard about his Orange County, California-based weed brand, Tyson 2.0. When earlier this year it released a bitten ear-shaped THC-infused edible that paid homage to the infamous 1997 bite fight, in which he bit Evander Holyfield's ear. I was around to see that. A pup, though. How that product came to be, how marijuana has improved his quality of life, and where the cannabis entrepreneur hopes to take the brand. We're among the many herb-related topics touched on when he flamboyant, recently retired wrestler Ric Flair, the face of the just launched Tyson 2.0 sub-brand called Ric Flair Drip. Now, it's like, that's kind of cool because you got all these, you going from boxing to wrestling to boxing back. And it's like they coming with their own stuff.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's definitely that's dope though, and it's I can't wait to see the bit off ear though.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
want to try that shit.
if you look at it, like, again, if you look that up and you see that little brand of packaging, it's kind of crazy. So it's like, man.
Man, for sure. Moving on, moving on. Advocates urge Congress to reject alcohol model for marijuana regulations, criticizing tobacco-funded groups' hearing participation. A coalition of drug policy reform and public health advocates and officials are raising the alarm about the influence of the tobacco and alcohol industry in shaping federal marijuana reform and are encouraging congressional lawmakers to rethink the idea of modeling legal cannabis regulations after those that are in place for booze. And just plain and simple with that, I definitely agree because you can't regulate it in the same realm of alcohol. Because, you know, it's a lot of people that might drink alcohol. Majority of people that drink alcohol, you drink too much, you off balance and shit though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people that smoke weed, the majority of the people that been doing it, you know, you smoke some weed and you a little bit more focused than you probably was when you were sober and shit like that though. So I think it's definitely a good thing for them not to do that. You feel me?
So too though, and just to piggyback up off of that, if you do get too drunk or whatever it may be, you probably do want to go like, man, I can do these donuts. But if you get too blowed up off of weed, the logical thinking you're going to have right there, like, man, let me go lay my ass down real quick. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big difference.
For sure.
Today's marijuana is more potent and maybe more dangerous, says new research.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's some craziness.
Man.
Using marijuana for medical purposes has been proven to provide beneficial results for many health issues, such as reducing the frequency of seizures, threatening GI problems, reducing inflammation, threatening anxiety, treating anxiety, and more. According to the National Conference of State, 37 states, 3 territories, and the District of Columbia allow the medical use of cannabis products. In addition, 21 states have legalized the adult use of marijuana for recreational purposes. But researchers are warning that the use of high-potency products can be dangerous. USC Leonard D. Schaefer Center for Research, Policy, and Economics states, high-potency cannabis products have been linked to short-term memory and coordination issues, impaired cognitive functions, cannabis hyperness syndrome. Oh, I ain't never heard of that. That's just him. Psychosis and increased risk of anxiety, depression, and dependence when used for prolonged periods. Acute health effects associated with high-potency products include unexpected poisoning and acute psychosis. And it's like what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing up inside of this article and stuff like that. And for most stuff that I actually see from high-potency flowers, some people tend to mess with it a little, add this a little bit. You know, and then it's like we have a whole lot of cases to where it's like cannabis flowers and stuff like that is being laced with other things. Right. So it's like, it got to be something to add right there because from my experience with weed and stuff like that, clumsiness if you're trying to do that, but it's like they putting some extra on something that's really not what it is. I think the authenticity of the cannabis, of the bud, it don't do that. But once you add other shit, it probably can do that.
Yeah, then you think about dabs. You know, dabs gonna do that because it's high potency, the shatter and shit like that. All them things, and you know, even the edibles, like what's the potency of the edibles and stuff though. So all those things adds up to what they talking about with this research that they done. Yep.
That's the weekly edition of the Best Way to Smoke News with Serpo Jr.
And Big J.
Baby.